Hello, gorgeous humans. I'm here today to talk about being a spiritual teacher and using my authentic voice. So, this is something that I have been in inquiry about because I notice when I make these videos, I want to go into some kind of soft spoken, like I have my shit together kind of mode. And I'm learning, I'm still stepping into my voice and into my power. And even in a position of being a teacher or whatever, a spiritual person, I am so just learning. But I realize that an important part of what I am, not only am I a spiritual teacher or a spiritual person, but I'm an artist. And what that means to me is it's important for me to express the truth of what is. So I used to think I wanted to go into politics, smoothing out my eyebrow. So I see, I'm noticing in the reflection that it's like uneven. Okay. So I used to want to go into politics and I never, when I was in like the height of like my club dancing days, I never wanted anything to be filmed of me. I didn't want to be seen as, I didn't want that part of me to be public. And then I went into the Peace Corps. I went into the Peace Corps because I actually wanted to go to Africa and I wanted to learn more about music and dancing. But it was also kind of like I was supposed to be having a career and I was going to go learn, like, get points towards my career as being a politician. But they sent me to Paraguay, anyways, and not to Africa. And then I was in the institution of the government institution, and I realized what a bunch of bullshit it was and how much the government institution was dedicated towards covering up the truth or just on appearances. So I majored in global studies, and when you're in undergrad for global studies, everybody thinks they're going to like grow up and be an ambassador, right? Those jobs are very limited, and the amount of graduates that major in global studies did not match the amount of actual ambassador jobs that there are, and it's all about who you know anyways. But everybody thinks they're going to do that. But what I realized that when you are an ambassador, that your actual job has more to do with like covering up all of the horrendous things that the United States does. So say, for example, you're going to be ambassador in Ecuador, and then a big news report comes out that American oil companies are destroying rivers and tribes in the Amazon. So it would be the ambassador's job to smooth this over and to play it down and to put out some sort of like nice happy statement about how that's not true or how we're actually donating money to whatever, blah 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 blah, right? But I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in authenticity. And I notice how I have internalized a certain neuroses of wanting to show only the best parts of myself. Like you will never, or you will see to date no pictures of me that I have posted on the internet where I show the cellulite on my ass, right? But like a real spiritual practice for me would be to actually show that. So we'll see. And yeah, we'll see. And that would be like the real wrathful tantric, as in like feeding yourself to demons type of thing for me to do. Can I, like, I can show my pretty face. Can I show like, my sunburned face? My I can show you like my silhouette from far away. But do I really want to show you the cellulite on my ass? But the thing, okay, so I'm reflecting on my authentic voice as a spiritual teacher and or just spiritual person, human being on this earth trying to do the best I can and be the best that I can. So, okay, so when I thought I was going to go into politics, I got integrity tattooed on my boob. I got it tattooed on my boob because I wanted to get tattooed on my chest, like to say like I would rather die than not have integrity. And it was kind of to remind me to not be corrupt. But I ended up getting it on my boob because I was thinking, I was still in the mode of like, I must appear really clean and having my shit together. And if I'm going to go into politics, nobody can see any videos of me dancing. And also they shouldn't probably see my tattoos. So I put it really low, and it ended up being like so low, it's on my boob. And then I was a cocktail waitress, and people would be like, what's your other boob named? Is it named Honesty? Okay, so anyways, so reflecting on showing up in my fullness as a human, or as a teacher, or as a human who's trying to be the best she can on this earth. So recently I've received feedback from a number of people that I love and care about. So let's see, one person. So in my communities, I always say I'm open to receiving feedback from people that I care about. You know what I mean? If I don't care about your opinion, then you can have your opinion all day long. But if I don't like hold you at a certain level of esteem and intimacy, then you can just, I don't really care. But anyways, with the people that I love and respect, I say I'm always open to hearing about my blind spots. I'm always open to becoming a better person and to operating with full transparency. Oh yeah, going back to the integrity thing. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be a politician, but politicians always become corrupt. I had seen this in places I had traveled. Also the United States is not, yeah. So anyways, I thought, how will and I'm aware of how the impulse to become corrupt lives in me. I'm aware of that moment when I feel like, taking the money over doing what's right for the collective. I'm aware that this exists in me, that this impulse is alive in me. So I was thinking, how do I rise to power while remembering to continue to do what's best for the collective instead of just taking the money and running like so many people do. And so I got integrity tattooed on my chest, and it has been helpful. But I did not go into politics. But okay, so then I thought I wanted to get a master's degree. This is my little 20-year-old undergrad self was thinking I wanted to get a master's degree in studying the nature of corruption of humans. Like, why do humans become corrupt? Like, as an animal. So the human animal has a certain range of behavior that's predictable, right? So humans have certain tendencies with mating, humans have certain tendencies with sleeping, they have certain tendencies with eating, and this can vary around the world, but there's a certain range that the human species operates within. So corruption is very predictable, right? You've heard the phrase power corrupts. So looking, if we know this as an animal species that power corrupts, then how can we kind of set ourselves up for success when it comes to that? So if we know power corrupts and we know this going into it, so we say we start off with good intentions, like Fidel Castro, like maybe start off with good intentions and then you get the power and you become corrupt. So how, knowing this about ourselves, without getting integrity tattooed on our chest, how do we stop ourselves from being corrupt while honoring the animal impulse of wanting to hoard away everything for ourselves or our family? And it does come from, so I thought I was going to get a master's degree in studying like the human animal and the exact like reasons and nuances of how and why we become corrupt in order to prevent it. And I ended up getting a master's degree in psychology instead. But this is something that I've been thinking about and wondering about for the last 15 plus years. So what I have come to understand is the best way to avoid corruption is transparency. So in an organization, whether it be a church or a business or a family, there's money involved, right? So you have money, and how do you make sure, a charity, how do you make sure, especially with charities, how do you make sure that the money is going towards where it's supposed to go, right? And there's two main things that I have observed in my humble 35 years on this planet, that can help us as a human species avoid or eliminate or decrease corruption. And this is one: transparency. So full accountability, like a full showing where every single penny is going, and or just like, anything, like, if you're in a relationship, you don't always want to be like checking each other's like emails or something, but it should be okay, like if your partner has your password at least or something, or it shouldn't be some like big top secret thing. Although hopefully, like, once you have that ability of transparency, you're not going to actually need to go like filtering through everything, because there will be no corruption, So, okay, so transparency is a huge piece of eliminating, avoiding, or decreasing corruption. And the other thing is the power being closer down to the ground. So my mom is a school teacher, right? She's on the ground. She's in the front lines. She's there with the students. And so she has her idea of policies and how things should be and what the kids need. But then she has to take all these orders from all these higher ups that are super removed from the classroom. And at that point, things become very influenced by money, by politics, and it just is like things become corrupt. And then by the time it trickles down to where she is, the whole system's all messed up and very dysfunctional, and she's not actually able to do her job effectively. So if the power were coming from somewhere closer down, even just someone who maybe wasn't the front line but was maybe second or third in line, they would have more of a sense of what actually needs to be done. So this and it's like when you fight someone face to face, it's like a fist fight, versus sitting in an air-conditioned room pushing drone buttons. There's way more room for corruption or oops, I fucked up, if you can't actually see a person face to face. So as I am reflecting on my authentic voice, okay, so as a teacher person trying to be the best she can, I really value authenticity, and I struggle with it because I also feel this pressure to show up as someone who, I don't know, there is this thing that I have internalized that is like, don't show the cellulite on your butt. You should be very ashamed of that. And so I've gotten, a number of feedback things from people, which I will now talk about. One is I had a friend who is also, he owns a retreat center. He started nonprofits around spiritual teachings and stuff like that. So he's in the same world as me, someone that I respect in like the Buddhist world and the psychology world, doing retreats and things like that. And he said, I only watched the first 5 minutes of your video because he said, I'm paraphrasing, he's something to the degree of like, it's not really you, or it's not really authentic. Now, the conversations that I have with this person in private are very candid. It's like talking about sexual shadows and porn usage and mishaps and exposing the least desirable aspects of myself, right? The least having my shit together aspects of myself, right? And so this is the level of transparency and intimacy and accountability that this person is used to having with me. And I just thought, oh my God, if that conversation was public, would I still be a teacher? And this is the new paradigm that we're going into. The new paradigm, it's not about who is the most pure or who is the most having their shit together. Because honestly, we've all seen that is not real. And that's why in the past, there's so much sexual corruption and monetary fraud and other kinds of weird things like secret addictions and things like that with spiritual teachers and other people in leadership positions. So this overemphasis on appearing pure, which is something that I also do, and that's something that I not only feel this pressure from the outside, but it's a pressure that I've internalized and that I put on myself. Yeah, and I had a friend who I respect dearly, who's also a spiritual teacher, leader, medicine leader person. And I said, I'm always open to feedback. And if you see anything that's shady or off about me, I'm always open to hearing about it because I want to grow and I really respect you and I respect your opinion. And this person said, you cuss too much. And so I really thought about it. I really was like, let me think about that. Let me think about that. Let me see what's up with that. Why do I cuss? Is that good? Is that bad? Do I want to keep cussing? Do I want to stop cussing? And I thought about it and I thought, well, yeah, I might offend some people with my cussing. But those are not my people. Well, those are not the people who are meant for my message. And here comes back to this avoiding corruption by eliminating corruption by being closer to the ground. So here I am one person. Let me tell you, you are also a teacher. You are also a healer. You are also medicine just by being yourself. There is not one perfect way or one perfect guru or one modality. Each of us, when we are being in our authentic, naked, vulnerable, true selves, messy as that may be, with parts of me that are still vibrating at their lower octave versions of themselves, their less enlightened versions of themselves. I am still medicine, even with my imperfections. With my cussing, I may appeal to certain people. I may not appeal to certain people. You, exactly as you are, whatever you are, you being yourself is going to be medicine for some people. It's going to be so soothing for some people. It's going to be just what some people need. And it's probably going to be offensive. It's probably going to be repulsive. It's probably going to be boring maybe to some people, So these are reflections I've been having on showing up as my authentic self and how much of myself am I willing to show? Am I willing to show the parts of me that are still learning? And then am I willing to show broken, scared, lost, ugly parts of myself? I'm not one-dimensional. So one person said don't cuss, right? And then another person said don't use upspeak. And I'm like, what's upspeak? And he's like, it's your California accent, like the ditzy girl accent. And I thought about that and I was thinking about it. I have one girl that I follow her work and she talks like such a ditz. She talks like Valley Girl times 100. And apparently my New York friends tell me that I do have a California accent and that I do sound like a Valley Girl sometimes. And this friend recently was saying, if you're going to do talks, don't use upspeak. And so I thought about that. I was like, is this good? Is this bad? Why do I do this? Do I want to keep this? Do I want to get rid of it? And I just thought, nah, if somebody doesn't like how I talk, they're not my audience. They're not my audience. So part of my spiritual practice and spiritual growth right now for me and in honor and service of the collective is allowing myself to show up with more of my fullness to myself and to be seen also in that way by others. And I trust that the more of my authentic self that I show, that those who are meant to resonate with that will arrive and resonate and be in harmony. And those that are not meant for that, they can be repelled right away. But this is just a taste, because this isn't even really anything, because I mean, I believe that in the new paradigm, what we're doing is we're expanding our consciousness, right? So what does that mean? That means that we're operating with more of our capacity for holding in these human brains. It means we're letting more light in. What is light? It's information. Simply information, good and bad. So we will be operating with more of our full selves in the light, because our full selves are always there, but when we cut off parts of them and put them in the shadow, that's when you get all these weird behaviors like secret addictions or weird sexual behavior, like distorted, you know? But as we are expanding consciousness, we're literally opening up to more of our fullness and bringing more of it in the light. So whatever it is that I am can be seen. And this is evolution. So baby steps, but the light in me sees the light in you. And I think that we will all step out into being our beautiful, full, shiny rainbow selves, whatever the hell that means to each of us. And another important piece of the new paradigm is room for diversity, because we are all constantly adapting to our environment, and it's so infinite, the expressions of consciousness. So there's room for all of us. There's room for all of us, and we are all interconnected. So we want to have this diversity with harmony, but we don't all have to exactly agree with each other or understand each other. We just have to share the resources on the planet and not blow each other up. Okay? So happy evolving to you, and I love you, and I hope today that you can allow yourself to show up in more of your fullness and also be seen in more of your fullness. Ciao.